Winter has produced some inventions so catastrophically stupid you'd swear humanity was trying to negotiate a truce with frostbite. Every snowstorm birthed another idea that really shouldn't have survived daylight. And unfortunately for all of us, these weren't even the worst attempts. Fun. A man once unveiled his proudest winter invention, the self-warming snow pants, which in theory were supposed to keep the wearer toasty using a network of heated metal coils sewn directly into the fabric. In practice, they turned the wearer into a walking baked potato with legs. The pants heated unevenly, so one thigh reached pleasant fireplace warmth, while the other achieved molten steel foundry. Witnesses said the test subject waddled across the yard like someone trying to outrun his own regret. The inventor insisted the issue was simply too much heat efficiency, as if spontaneously sautéing your customers were a normal engineering hiccup. The prototype was retired only after a small but memorable incident where a spark ignited the user's scarf, transforming the whole scene into a Christmas-themed cautionary tale about why some ideas do not need electricity, ambition, or a patent. 2. One winter genius built what he called the Blizzard Buddy, essentially a wearable windbreak made from two large plywood sheets strapped to a person like a failed cosplay of a sandwich. The concept was protection from icy winds. The reality was watching someone walk around like a refrigerator trying to escape its own kitchen. The contraption caught every gust like a poorly designed sailboat, launching the wearer sideways into snowbanks, fences, and once, allegedly, a startled mail carrier who had not been briefed on the existence of mobile wooden appliances. The inventor claimed the device worked perfectly, provided the person walked exclusively in windless conditions, on flat ground, and preferably indoors. No customers signed up for this experience, likely because most people, when choosing winter gear, prefer not to resemble a discarded home improvement project fleeing a hardware store. 3. A particularly committed tinkerer attempted to solve the cold steering wheel problem with a device he called the frost fryer, a clamp-on heating ring powered directly by the car's cigarette lighter. The logic was simple: heat the wheel quickly. The outcome was alarming: melt the wheel immediately. Drivers reported a brief moment of relief, followed by the scent of synthetic materials entering a spiritual phase of existence. One test version got so hot, it branded a ring pattern onto the driver's palms, leaving them with hands that looked like they'd been personally autographed by a malfunctioning waffle iron. The inventor blamed user overgripping, as though the average person should treat their steering wheel like a poisonous frog. Eventually, the project died once someone realized that a steering wheel that liquefies under stress is not technically safer than a cold one. 4. Someone once believed that the perfect winter innovation was heated shoelaces, because apparently the human race needed a way to set its feet on low simmer. These laces contained thin wires intended to distribute warmth, but instead they distributed minor electrical shocks that made every step feel like a surprise quiz on conductivity. Anyone brave enough to try them reported a sensation best described as being politely tased by your own footwear. One user swore the laces short-circuited mid-walk, causing sparks that startled a nearby dog into reevaluating its trust in humanity. The inventor defended the laces, insisting they worked flawlessly until water was introduced, an odd requirement for a winter product meant to coexist with snow, slush, puddles, and the general concept of moisture. The invention vanished quickly, presumably into the same drawer where defective phone chargers and cursed holiday lights retire. 5. A workshop optimist once designed the heated icicle catcher, a helmet attachment meant to prevent falling icicles from striking people. The logic seemed sound until someone pointed out that heating a metal dish above your head doesn't catch icicles so much as melt them directly onto your face. Early testers reported receiving surprise polar showers and at least one unintended ice facial, which might have been refreshing if it weren't delivered by gravity and panic. The inventor reframed these hazards as bonus hydration features, which did very little to comfort people who now associated winter rooftops with unsolicited spa treatments. Critics also mentioned the minor drawback of steam rising from the wearer's head like an overheating robot having an existential crisis. Ultimately, the device's only success was proving that not every problem requires gadgets. Sometimes you can just, not stand under roofs. 6. One proud creator introduced the snowblower 2.0, a backpack-mounted jet engine repurposed, because why wouldn't you, to clear driveways with raw thrust. The gist was simple: blast the snow away. The results were cinematic in the flying debris and lawsuits sense. Early demonstrations showed snow being launched so forcefully it redecorated the neighbor's porch, the neighbor's pets, and anything within a 2-block radius. The operator, meanwhile, staggered backward under the recoil like a man attempting to negotiate with physics while losing. Reports claim one test ended with the user propelled into a hedge, where they remained stuck until spring thaw. The inventor argued that users simply needed better stances, as though everyone should train like winter astronauts preparing for driveway liftoff. Strangely, the device never hit shelves, probably because there are laws about rocket-powered landscaping. 7. The frost-free beard guard was pitched as a face shield for men tired of snowflakes embedding themselves in their facial hair. But instead of a sleek cover, it resembled a transparent plastic muzzle, turning every wearer into someone the neighborhood kids crossed the street to avoid. The guard trapped heat and moisture in spectacularly unpleasant ways, fogging up the plastic until wearers looked like they were exhaling into a goldfish tank. Anyone daring enough to talk while wearing it discovered the echo chamber effect, which made every sentence sound like someone narrating their own downfall from inside a salad container. The inventor praised it as confidence-boosting, but no beard owner felt confident while resembling a weatherproof medieval torture device. The product quietly disappeared, possibly because it made people look like they were trying to winter-proof their shame. E8. Someone created the snowproof smartphone scarf, designed to protect phones by stuffing them into a built-in pouch near the wearer's throat. It sounded convenient until people realized the only way to use the phone was to either bend down like a dehydrated flamingo or yank the entire scarf up over their face like an amateur magician preparing a disappearing act. The heat from the wearer's breath fogged the screen instantly, leaving users staring at a blurry, humidified mess that resembled the world's saddest aquarium screensaver. Notifications buzzed loudly against their necks, startling half of them into dropping the phone anyway. A few complained that the pouch accidentally pressed random buttons, leading to mysterious texts and one accidental grocery delivery. The inventor insisted it was hands-free efficiency, but the rest of the world recognized it as a fabric prison for technology and dignity alike. 9. A certain winter enthusiast attempted to solve the cold nose problem with a heated metal nose clamp, creating a device that looked like a cross between a medieval vice and a fashion statement from someone who misunderstood cyberpunk. The clamp warmed the nose by gently hugging it, although testers described the sensation less as hugging and more as being held hostage by warm steel. The metal overheated during trials, leaving wearers with noses that alternated between numb, sweaty, and lightly toasted. One critic commented that it gave everyone the appearance of a failed red-nosed superhero whose power was seasonal disappointment. The inventor defended the design by saying the clamp promoted circulation, which is a generous way of describing something that almost branded people with its optimism. Shockingly, the market for nasal panini presses remained small. 10. Enter the frost-fighting windshield mitts, a pair of oversized gloves meant to slide over a car's side mirrors to prevent ice buildup. But the creator expanded the idea to include giant mitts for the driver's actual hands while steering, because apparently realism was optional. These mitts were so thick that drivers struggled to grip the wheel, honk the horn, or do anything except reconsider all their life choices. One tester attempted a turn and missed by what witnesses described as a full emotional breakdown. The mitts also trapped cold air inside, so despite looking like oven gloves for a polar bear, they insulated nothing except disappointment. The inventor claimed they were ideal for cautious driving, which was accurate only in the sense that wearing them made moving the vehicle at all a cautious, prayer-filled endeavor. 11. A winter problem solver decided the world needed the heated snow shovel handle, powered by a battery pack the size of a hardcover dictionary strapped to the user's belt. The handle warmed beautifully for the first 3 minutes before the pack overheated and shut off, forcing users to choose between warm hands or the continued existence of their clothing. Worse, the heating element was so concentrated in one spot that people alternated gripping from pleasant warmth to surface of the sun, like a very confused lumberjack doing thermal roulette. One user described the invention as a great way to shovel snow while experiencing every temperature known to science. The inventor's official stance was that people simply needed to shovel faster. This suggestion did not improve sales. 12. The anti-slip ice boots promised perfect traction with retractable spikes controlled by a button near the ankle. Unfortunately, the spikes deployed randomly, giving wearers the gait of someone being controlled by a bored puppeteer. During tests, the spikes popped out mid-step, prompting one user to faceplant into a pile of snow and slide downhill like a tragic human toboggan. Others experienced accidental retraction on ice, sending them into improvised winter dance routines no one had signed up for. The inventor insisted the boots were responsive, which is true if your definition of responsive is constantly surprising in a deeply inconvenient way. The boots were discontinued before someone tried using them on stairs, which could have led to spontaneous interpretive gravity art. 13. An aspiring innovator produced the snowstorm sleep mask, a headband with built-in heating pads meant to keep the forehead warm while walking outside. Unfortunately, the design heated the forehead far more than anything else, leaving testers with the look of people who'd fallen asleep too close to a campfire. The pads also slid downward during use, turning the mask into a slowly descending hot band of confusion. Some users reported that snowflakes hitting the mask instantly melted, creating a tiny, tragic waterfall directly onto their faces. The inventor framed this as natural hydration, ignoring the fact that customers now associated the product with unexpected facial rinsing. No one wants to feel like they're being gently waterboarded by seasonal precipitation. This invention belonged in a spa for masochists, not on store shelves. 14. One workshop warrior produced the Heatwave Ear Amplifier, a pair of metal ear covers designed not only to warm the ears, but to improve hearing in cold environments. Instead, they created a horrifying echo chamber in which every crunch of snow sounded like an avalanche, and every passing car resembled a vengeful deity revving up. The heating element hummed faintly, making some users think bees were living inside their skull. A few reported hearing their own heartbeat amplified to such a degree they briefly considered calling a priest. The inventor defended the design, arguing that heightened awareness is essential in winter, though analysts agreed that paranoia-inducing ear cymbals were a niche few consumers sought. The device was eventually scrapped before someone started hearing their own thoughts echo back at them like a motivational speaker in a tin can. 15. Finally, someone developed the insulated winter keyboard, a massive plastic glove box designed to let people type outdoors without freezing their fingers. It worked in concept, assuming the user didn't need accuracy, vision, comfort, or dignity. The box fogged up instantly from trapped breath, turning the typing experience into a guessing game of hope that was the right key. The gloves were stiff enough to turn every text message into cryptic poetry, and the entire apparatus shook whenever the wearer breathed, giving all typed words the energy of a panicked Morse code operator. One user claimed it took 17 attempts to write the word OK, which only ever produced the eloquent message 0009. The inventor marketed it as a breakthrough for productivity, though productivity plummeted once people realized typing inside a plastic terrarium made them look like a researcher communicating with a rare winter hamster. 16. A particularly confident inventor introduced the Thermal Snow Hat 3000, which was essentially a wool cap wrapped around a network of battery-powered heating rods that turned the wearer's head into a slow-cooking holiday roast. The device heated beautifully in the way a stovetop heats beautifully, right before boiling something alive. Early testers reported that the internal temperature climbed so quickly their hair achieved crispy golden brown status within minutes. One man said the hat made him feel like a festive casserole. Another insisted he heard faint sizzling, which is never a sound you want associated with your scalp. The inventor argued that users were overheating themselves with too much enthusiasm, as if excitement, not the small oven on their skull, were the issue. The product died quietly once people realized warming your head shouldn't require the same fire safety precautions as roasting a turkey. 17. Someone attempted to solve slippery sidewalks by creating snow-melting socks, a pair of thick wool socks coated with a chemical mixture that supposedly generated heat when exposed to cold air. In theory, brilliant. In execution, absolutely dangerous. The socks heated unpredictably, sometimes reaching temperatures that forced wearers to sprint down the street like cartoon characters racing across hot coals. Other times, the chemical mixture simply failed and froze into rigid boards, turning the wearer's feet into medieval skis with zero warning. One tester tripped, slid 10 feet across a driveway, and declared the invention both effective and profoundly stupid. The creator insisted the socks were self-regulating, which was true only if chaos counted as regulation. Consumers eventually realized that socks should not double as emergency foot-based flamethrowers, and the idea melted away before it could literally melt someone's toes. 18. A winter craftsman proudly introduced the portable pocket bonfire, which was exactly what it sounded like. A small metal tin designed to hold a miniature open flame people could carry around for warmth. The problem was that fire, famously, does not respect boundaries or tin lids. Users reported sparks escaping like rebellious teenagers breaking curfew, igniting gloves, scarves, coats, and at least one man's pride. The device produced just enough heat to keep your hands warm, but also just enough chaos to make you reconsider every choice that led you to holding a personal fire hazard near your chest. When critics pointed out the flaw of carrying open flames in public, the inventor dismissed concerns as fear-based thinking, which is relatable, given fear is a normal reaction to accidentally setting yourself ablaze. Unsurprisingly, the device's lifespan matched that of anything else lightly on fire, extremely short. 19. One particularly ambitious engineer created the Arctic breeze coat, a winter jacket with built-in fans designed to circulate warm air more effectively. However, the fans had all the noise control of a jet engine and all the airflow logic of a confused vacuum cleaner. Instead of gently circulating warmth, they blasted icy gusts straight into the wearer's torso, creating the world's first coat that actively helped hypothermia. Users described it as wearing a personal wind tunnel and a betrayal of everything a coat is supposed to stand for. Some noted that the fans occasionally reversed direction, puffing the jacket out like an inflating life raft and startling bystanders. The inventor insisted the issue wasn't the coat but improper posture, which is a bold way of saying the product hated the people wearing it. The idea quickly froze in place, permanently. 20. A determined problem solver once unveiled heated earmuffs powered by a hand crank mechanism positioned directly under the user's chin. Winding it tightened the springs, producing a gentle warmth. Unfortunately, the warmth arrived about 15 seconds before the tension snapped back and clamped the earmuffs onto the wearer's head with the enthusiasm of a bear trap. Early testers described the sensation as a polite hug followed by a lawsuit. Even worse, the crank emitted a loud clicking sound as it wound, making wearers look like they were preparing to launch some sort of Victorian winter weapon. The inventor defended the design proudly, claiming users needed to anticipate the recoil. Customers disagreed, mainly because they didn't want a product that fought back. Shockingly, people chose softer, non-aggressive earmuffs that didn't require combat training. 21. Someone built a heated sled intended for luxury winter travel, powered by a propane tank mounted on the back. The heat was released through vents on the seat, which at first sounded comfortable until testers realized the vents reached temperatures appropriate for grilling burgers, not transporting children. The sled left scorch marks on snow, which is not something snow should ever do. One child reportedly leapt off the sled mid-ride after declaring it too spicy. The inventor claimed the heat settings were adjustable, but the dial went from lukewarm to human fajita in under a second. Parents declined to strap their children atop flaming propane furniture, and the invention found its rightful home: nowhere. 22. Another winter visionary unveiled the anti-freeze face spray, a mist meant to coat a person's skin with a protective barrier. The marketing bragged it could lock in warmth, which turned out to mean freeze in place. Users discovered the spray hardened upon contact with cold air, forming a brittle shell that cracked when they tried to speak. One man attempted a smile and looked like a porcelain doll shattering emotionally. Others noted the spray-trapped facial expressions, forcing them to interact with strangers while permanently wearing whatever expression they'd made during application, usually confusion or regret. The inventor insisted the product was revolutionary, which was an appropriate word, given that revolutions often end in discomfort and structural collapse. 23. A winter gear enthusiast built heated snow goggles, designed to stop fogging by warming the lenses. They worked beautifully until the heat became uneven, creating a perpetual fog that refused to leave. Testers described the view as winter through a hot shower. Worse, the goggles emitted a faint burning smell that made wearers question whether the fog represented an electronics issue or their own impending doom. The inventor argued the problem wasn't the goggles, but the user's lack of trust in the process, a phrase often spoken moments before things explode. People eventually returned to regular goggles, accepting fog as preferable to viewing the world as a blurry, smoky watercolor. 24. One inventor created the snow-melting backpack, a heated bag meant to keep belongings dry. The bag warmed itself with internal coils that unfortunately also warmed everything inside. Snacks melted, pens leaked, and one unfortunate individual discovered their chapstick had transformed into a waxy tidal wave. The coils occasionally overheated, making the exterior of the bag so warm that snow actively steamed off the surface, drawing attention in the way only suspicious steam clouds rising from a person's spine can. The creator insisted the bag added comforting body heat, but most people prefer their backpacks not to feel like they're incubating dinosaur eggs. The idea evaporated faster than the snow it melted. 25. A winter handyman tried to improve traction with magnetic snow boots, claiming they would anchor wearers to metal surfaces to prevent slips. The problem was that winter streets are not, in fact, iron walkways. The boots provided zero traction in snow, but clung aggressively to anything metal, including cars, fences, lampposts, and one very surprised bicycle rack. Wearers found themselves involuntarily attached to random infrastructure like confused urban barnacles. The inventor claimed users needed to plan their routes more intentionally, which was a poetic way of saying the boots only worked in environments that didn't exist. Consumers quickly decided they preferred footwear that did not hold them hostage. 26. Someone rolled out the polar plow mittens, mittens with tiny plastic scoops attached, designed to let wearers clear snow as they walked. In reality, the scoops collected snow, compacted it, and launched it directly back onto the wearer's torso. The mittens turned walking into a self-inflicted snowball fight with the wearer playing all positions. One tester said the mittens made them feel like a malfunctioning snow robot attacking itself. The creator defended the tool by saying users should embrace active winter lifestyles, but most people felt the activity in question shouldn't be repeatedly punching themselves with cold debris. The invention did not last long, likely because humiliation has poor market value. 27. A tech-focused inventor introduced heated winter headphones, which combined audio with warmth by routing hot air through small vents. Unfortunately, the vents blew directly into the wearer's ears, creating a sensation described as listening to music while being gently roasted. The headphones created a pressure chamber that amplified bass notes into seismic events and made high notes resemble smoke alarms. One user said it felt like the headphones were trying to summon them to another realm. The inventor claimed the intensity was immersive, but customers eventually returned to normal headphones, deciding that auditory warmth should never feel like a spiritual evacuation. 28. Someone attempted to improve snow shoveling efficiency by inventing the dual-blade shovel. Essentially, two shovels welded together with the confidence of someone who believed more metal equaled more productivity. In practice, the device was unwieldy enough to require the upper body strength of a mythological creature. Testers reported that it picked up twice the snow while providing twice the strain, twice the self-inflicted injuries, and twice the regret. One man attempted to lift the shovel and instead accidentally launched snow directly into his own face, creating a magical moment no one wanted. The inventor insisted the shovel was a workout and a tool in one, but most buyers didn't want their winter chores to include injury-adjacent weightlifting. 29. Finally, an innovator introduced the self-heating ice skates, which were meant to warm the user's feet while skating. Unfortunately, warmth and ice are famously incompatible, and the heated blades softened the ice beneath them, causing the wearer to sink slightly into the rink like a confused statue melting into the floor. Testers described the sensation as skating on warm pudding. Others noted that the heating elements made small sizzling noises, which is never reassuring when your feet are involved. The inventor argued the skates were ahead of their time, but given the time they appeared to be ahead of was a geological period where humans did not exist, the product failed to gain traction, literally and financially. Winter gave us inventions so dumb they deserve their own warning label. Drop your pick for the absolute champion of stupidity below, and if you survive this list, you know what to do next.